Yeah, on a dragon on the other side of the arena, and without not even a hello, you just like, I'd like to open with Firebolt, please. And all of us were like, what the fuck is this? Why have we been betrayed this way?
There's very few instances where player versus player combat is fun and interesting, but that was just one of the few where Em was just like, "Do you want to pop in?" I was like, "Do I? Of course I do."
We're rolling dice, camera, action.
Well, hello and welcome to the BBEG Podcast. Now, today we're doing something a little bit different. As some of you may have seen, we did a fun Christmas Jamboree one-shot. And so we thought for today, we'd take you behind the scenes. And to do that properly, we have brought my dear friend, Tyler, who was the writer behind the one-shot. So welcome, Tyler.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
It's all right. Thanks for joining us. You doing all right?
I am doing splendidly. Thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, can't complain. And naturally, you have myself and Hattie here today. Unfortunately, Will isn't able to join us, but you've got three wonderful faces to look at, and we're just going to have a bit of a discussion about how everything was made, how it all came together, and maybe some thoughts from the actual game itself. And yeah, I think we're just going to kick off like that.
Yeah, perfect. That was
First
great.
intro, yay!
So, nailed it. Okay, so let's kick things off with the creation of this beautiful one-shot that we got the opportunity to play. How did the storyline come about? How did it originate?
Ooh, that's a good question, isn't it? Would you like to answer, Em? Because there's two ways that it came about.
Well, you did the bulk of it. I basically, obviously, most of us know I'm on tour at the moment, and we had this idea of putting this one shot together whilst I was on tour, and I was like, my time is very limited. So I messaged Tyler. Now, as I mentioned, Tyler's a good friend. 7 years? No, 10 years.
Nearly 10 years.
10 years, yeah. It'll be 10 years this September where we met for drama school. How did I say 7? Oh, 17 is when we graduated. But yeah, so me and Tyler started playing D&D together in lockdown in both of our first campaigns. You hadn't played before then, had you?
I'd visualised, imagined a lot of playing, but never actually played, no.
Yeah. I think like we had been like maybe 2 or 3 sessions in with Garen, and I went, Tyler would love this, and we got Tyler in and instantly just gelled with the whole group. But then we took it in turns to DM, and Tyler is an incredible DM, and every campaign he has ever done, he has completely homebrewed himself. And I'm a big fan of your writing, always have been ever since drama school with like your comedy stuff, but your writing for all your D&D stuff is incredible, and I'm still not over the fact that we got not even halfway through one of your campaigns. But we had to stop that because it just kind of fell apart because of all the players. But yeah, so I hit up Tyler instantly to be like, look, this is what we want to do. This is my idea. So I only gave him like a brief going, it is a Christmas themed one shot where Santa is a prick. And yeah. And the Christmas elves of the workshop are trying to escape. And at first I was like, we can do this right together, co-work it. And Tyler just went, love, you're on tour. I got you covered. So
pretty much.
So I took a massive backseat and let the man do his magic.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we kind of tossed up between either like an action-y one shot where it's like running through the buildings kind of vibe, or we do something more of dungeon crawl. And I think we both kind of settled on dungeon crawl because it's just one, it's a little bit easier to control the events in a one shot without playing for like 8 hours. Also,
it's classic D&D.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, back in the day, they used to do just literal booklets that were dungeons, so it does feel very, OG D&D. So yeah, that's kind of where the storyline came about, with hints and kind of plot threads given to me by you, and then I just kind of went, okay, yeah, I can figure this out. I can make something, and then when we actually started writing like the introduction and stuff like that, that was a collaborative piece where I gave the idea that it was like the elves have tried to form a union, and we kind of went from there. But yeah, that's kind of how it came about. You reached out to me, and I just jumped off your ideas, and it ended up being that.
He took the very little information I gave him and made it a masterpiece. Really, it was so fun to DM, and I don't know. Was it fun to play?
Yeah. But this wasn't my first go with a creation that Tyler has made, I don't think. Did you write one of the one-shots that No? This was my first one?
No. Wait, what? Yeah.
There was one-shot before I joined your campaign that Tyler DM'd.
Did I?
You know when we did Spelljammers, when Hattie joined us for the first time, and we were already at level 6, and I went, okay, we're going to do 2 one-shots, one at level 2, one at level 4. Adam did one, and you did one.
Yes, you were in a prison cell, because this makes me look it doesn't make me look as creative now, because that was also a dungeon crawl. Yes,
I don't think it was that much of a dungeon crawl in comparison.
No, I think it was, I don't know. I can't remember.
Baby dungeon crawl?
Yeah. I remember specifically there was a ghost in there that I wanted to sound like Matt Berry, and that's all I went with, and I just built the one shot around that,
I just remember my barbarian going into a room and slaughtering all the goblins.
Yes. It's coming back to me now in floods, like, PTSD.
Yeah. It's all coming back to you now. So, was there anything in particular that really inspired the Christmas one shot? As much as you received information from Em, was there anything you saw or just had around you that you thought, that'll be it, that'll be our cornerstone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive horror film nerd, so like when Em was like, "Oh, Santa's a prick," I was like, I see what you're doing, and I kind of went, okay, well, what if he's incredibly aggressive, kind of like, all these horror-themed Christmas films. Like, I think David Harbour did one recently called Violent Night, and it's just, I haven't actually watched it, but I know it's just like a ruthlessly violent kind of Santa. And I was like, well, what if like this environment is just like a testament to all of his kills, and it's kind of like a chamber for him to go kill people in when he feels like it. That's kind of where it came from, really. I think it was, you went, oh yeah, he's a bit of an arse, and I went, okay, no worries, murderous, I've got it, and just kind of went from there.
Fully leaned into it, and it made it incredibly enjoyable, and a really unique experience to have it be from that way round. So honestly, thank you, because I would never have come up with it, and it made it such a joy to be surprised by it. How long did it take you to write it after Em had given you all of the?
I think from the initial request of you like reaching out and me delivering it, I think it was maybe 3 to 5 weeks. I think week 3, I think I gave you the base document, and then I think by week 5,
I think you gave it quicker than that.
Did I?
Like the first draft, I think it was in 2 weeks, but yeah. Like, I only gave you about a month and a half before we were going to film it, so
I definitely gave you the document with all the details in it for you to peruse first, and then I kind of made the actual dungeon and everything after that, like to kind of fit the narrative we made. To be fair, I don't think you gave me any notes, which was nice.
I didn't have anything to criticize, like, and no, I would say the notes I gave you was not like, oh, this is missing or that's bad. It was more, okay, well, you know what I'm like. I love my magic items. So I'm like, can we hide a few things and then also try and make them Christmas themed? So the two of us brainstormed and came up with the dagger that was made for, well, essentially Gilly's character as the rogue. That was in the shape of like a peppermint, a candy cane.
Yeah.
So what did we call it? Candy panes?
Something like that. Yeah.
Just something stupid. But yeah.
And we brainstormed having necrotic damage on it being like something like tooth decay rather than actual like necrotic damage.
Okay.
Sugar. Because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Why one of the features on it was it was a diabetic themed thing that
it was
made
sugar
the body
rush and
bloat
sugar
with
crash.
all that sugar. That's the one. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, that was.
I love how you remember this.
Yeah. Well, I got to watch it be used, so there was an awful lot of like when you'd read it out, the joy on Gilly's face, where it was just like, I can do what? I can do what with this? Yes,
That's
please.
That is always the joy when you make a magic item for a game, is watching the players actually use it. I like when you put a cool feature on it. It's really really fulfilling as a DM.
No, it was just the look on her face, especially when obviously you get to fight the big bad and she's like, I would like to use this feature, please. I would like to inject him with sugar now. It made it really fun. The writing is beautiful, but we know it wouldn't be complete without the map itself. And so how long did it take you to create and design the map? And did you do that first and then write the story, or did you write the story and then create the map itself?
It's kind of like songwriting. So I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent, but like when I design certain things, like when I write things for D&D, sometimes I will go off an image or a theme and write, or then I'll do it the reverse, or sometimes you do it in unison. So with this, I knew the theme, I knew we were going for a dungeon crawl, and I knew I kind of wanted it to be this underground torture chambery thing. So I did generate a basic layout, and then I kind of wrote the rooms, and then I added the details after the fact on the actual visuals. So the rooms were I was given a basic shape of a room, then me and Em confirmed what we liked in different rooms. We switched some rooms around, and then we went ahead and then kind of added the little details in. So I don't know specifically, but I'm pretty sure the room with the button in the middle with the runes that light up on the outside, that was elsewhere, but we moved it around a bit to kind of make it feel a little less intense. I think it was that room. I don't know, but yeah. I mean,
you always kept coming back to me about almost as like approval, but you didn't need it. But it was just like, talking layout and making sure we wanted to show so much of what D&D is in a dungeon crawl. Because I think dungeon crawls are great, but sometimes I do think they can become very one note. Like I introduced Kelly and Kevin one time to the Rick and Morty D&D set, and it is literally a dungeon crawl. And okay, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, all the rooms are themed, but it's a 20-room dungeon. And even me DMing it, I was like, oh, I'm bored. So we wanted to make sure that, especially for people who are new, and obviously that's what our first series was geared towards, and Kelly was playing, and Kelly had only done 2 one-shots up until that point, that it was still something exciting and giving the full sort of experience of what you can expect from a D&D game. So like the easy addition of... oh no, I forgot his name. Winkle, the easy addition of Winkle just for a bit of roleplay dynamic. It wasn't a big part of the game, but it was enough to show what you guys can do with an NPC. Also then with each other going through the game, and then the BBEG at the beginning, which Kelly did so well with.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you fat bastards.
It was beautiful to witness. Witness Kelly insult Santa was a Christmas miracle.
I mean, sometimes when you create these monsters, these characters, you're like, oh yeah, this will be a real challenge. It's going to knock them to event. Sometimes it just doesn't work. The amount of big bad evil guys, that I've created that have been like just completely wiped out, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was just a minion. And like panic as I come up with another evil character.
What did I do to you guys in Stormwreck Isle? Tyler had featured for an episode because I wanted to get the guys used to some more role play, and this was a tactic I use. Came in as a con merchant with some flashy new items for them all if they had the money and the means. Went to the observatory, and Tyler was like, I'm going to sneak away, and set off the dragon with 2 nat ones one after another. But Tyler, you weren't there for the session after, where the character I'd made for this, because obviously I was using that to connect to the homebrew for the rest of the campaign, because Stormwreck Isle was just to teach Hattie and our friends how to play, because they'd never played before. So the main villain that I can't say too much, but they got introduced to another character, which was a necromancer, which will come in at some point, and he'd raised the dragon back to life.
Yay!
Because you guys destroyed that dragon so fast. I was like,
yeah.
It was one of the betrayals that Em does, where it's like you hear a noise and we're like, do we now? It's like there's a rumbling above and we're like, great, someone's arrived.
Still not over. You're still not over Tyler betraying you. That's not a me problem.
Not over, but I will never be over it.
I will never not enjoy a combat as much as that. Just appearing, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's back!" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it was one of the players, Sam, who was playing the GIF, the hippo character." I think I just launched a fireball straight at him.
Yes,
that you did.
You did not say anything. Em introduced you. The character was this beautiful description of your character. I think Georgie and I were like, "Oh my goodness, yes! Who is this? Wonderful, they're here to save us." You land on the other side of the line. Sorry.
On a dragon.
You land on a dragon on the other side of the arena, and without not even a hello, you just like, "I'd like to open with firebolt, please." And all of us were like, what the fuck is this? Why have we been betrayed this way?
There's very few instances where player versus player combat is fun and interesting. But that was just one of the few where Em was just like, "Do you want to pop in?" I was like, "Do I? Of course I do."
In my defense, I went, you can either come back and save the day, or because his race was the same race as the main villains in that campaign, I went, or I have thought of a little storyline where actually you're like a long-lost stepbrother because the father had an affair, and the one has offered you a seat in the royal citadel or whatever, and he was like, that seems more fun. He's like, harm them, you say? Yes.
We'll never be over it. The biggest betrayal I've ever had. In D&D specifically.
Sorry, it's prepared you for future betrayals, so don't worry.
Well, I'm now so heightened to it. So heightened to it. Anytime Em's like, "Here's a new character," I'm like, no.
Especially if it's one played by me. You're just like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Her face when you came in for Stormwreck, just as a con merchant, she was like, "Hold up." And she was looking at me like,
"I can't go through this again, Em."
My con merchant, he was just a bumbling idiot. He was a nice guy, just an idiot. That's all he was.
That's how they get you every time. Anyway, if we go back to the map. Back to the map for a second. When creating maps, and I know that there is quite a lot of different things out there to help you create maps specifically, which one do you tend to use, and which one did you use for this one if it happens to be different?
So usually I am an Incarnate fan. I use Incarnate. It has a free and a premium option. The free option is great if you're starting to learn it out, like learn how to build maps and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is very much one of those where you have to place every individual piece. So like unless you have the time allotted to doing it. So with my own campaign, I currently have a mixture of my own made maps, and then occasionally, when the players do something I'm not expecting, I have impromptu pre-made maps from like other creators that I've either purchased through Patreon or places like that. But for this one, I did something different, mainly because of the time frame, and I wanted to make sure it was done quickly and effectively.
Yeah.
So I got a generated dungeon from a web page called dungeon.app. So that's DUNGEN.app. And it just generates different like layouts of different dungeons and stuff. I don't think it's solely for dungeons, but the clue's in the name. I think it works best for it.
Yeah.
And you can choose your different kind of colours. And I think the theme I went for was like Arctic or something like that, which gave it this kind of cold blue aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then I sent that layout to Em. We decided on the rooms, and then I took that layout back to Incarnate and then placed the individual pieces. So it sounds like a lot of steps, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of to save me drawing the actual shape of the dungeon by hand with each individual piece of wall or whatever like that. I just kind of took a little shortcut and just kind of generated a dungeon and then populated it with more interesting artifacts, such as like blood on the floor, writing on the walls, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. But usually I'm an Incarnate fan, or I buy it from one of the many retailers which you guys have probably had on your show before, to be fair. But yeah, just it's either I do it entirely myself or I get it from someone else. It just depends on how much time I have, and also you can't tell where the players are going to go. So sometimes it's nice to just have a street that is ready for combat, just in case.
Yeah. Would you say that that they're easy to use, the map creation software that you have? And is there a particular one that you would say, if there's a beginner out there, that'd be who you'd recommend?
I think that there's both pros and cons to map making in the minute, because there are so many options out there, an overwhelming amount of options. And I personally gel with Incarnate myself. I know Em's used it in the past. I think you quite enjoy it, but
it's not that I don't. It's, for me, it's a case of I'm always going to have this problem when it comes to map making. I'm colorblind, so me figuring stuff like that just takes a lot more time for me personally. So there are things that I've done, like I did a bunch of the Spelljammer maps for that campaign, because there are some in the book and that, but you can't always find them. So there is a bunch that I made or done up, but as a whole, it takes me a lot longer. But so it for me, it's just balance, finding and tweaking is how I kind of do it now. But it's simple enough for the icons and symbols.
Yeah, and I think the best thing to do, like if people are looking to create their own maps, because I think it's quite a fun thing to do as well, really. But to find a software you gel with, and it sounds a bit naff, but you've kind of just got to try them. There are loads of useful YouTube videos that are online that kind of detail different ones that are easy enough for starters. Like I tried Foundry, I tried a bunch of others, and I just ended up like I say, just gelling with Incarnate. It just works for me. It's got a load of assets that I'd like to use. So yeah.
Also, Incarnate's not that expensive either. Like compared to some of the other stuff that's out there, I think it was $25 for the year.
Yeah, and that includes like I think it's 5 or 6 different styles of maps that you can use, and each one's got like different categories. So like say I picked like watercolor battle maps, which is one I know exists. In the watercolor battle maps, you have all these different stamps, is what they call them, which are the pieces of furniture, your torches, and they're broken down into different type themes. So you've got like Gothic, you've got Hell, you've got all these other ones.
Landscapes.
Yeah, you can do landscapes. You can do. I struggle with making maps, but you can actually make like world maps on them. I'm terrible at it, but it is doable. So I heard.
Well, you saw me go through the process of making the world map for the Crescent Isles, and I sent it to both of you, and again, the colorblind side, me trying to really get the differences in colors that I'd already gone, well, this is more like the winter side of things. Oh, this place has red beaches, and I'm there like, why have I done this to myself?
Red beaches are kind of metal, though. I kind of like red beaches.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, if we pull up the map, and you're going to have to bear with us on this. Let's see if she works. She does! Yay! Can everyone see the map, I hope? Yeah. Otherwise I have ruined it for everyone. Tyler, would you be able to walk us through any hidden elements or your favourite part of the things you've added into the rooms that make it special or really kind of helped bring it to life?
Yeah, I mean, I adore the dead Winkle in the first room. I decided I decided Winkle was dying before anything else. So I really enjoyed putting spikes in him as well. That I really enjoyed that. No, I think most of the rooms are pretty straightforward. I mean, like I say, me and Em we discussed them prior, so we knew what we were going for with each room. I mean, I think to be fair, I think my favourite rooms are at like the furthermost right side of the map, where you've got like the room with the blood and the run scraped into the floor, which I believe I described with having like bits of nail and stuff stuck on the floor because it had been done with by hand, which was fun. But obviously in 4A, you've got Mimic. Who doesn't love a Mimic? There's the tease of a Mimic.
Kelly's favourite part.
There was a tease of a Mimic earlier on, and then we pulled a bit of a bait and switch, didn't we?
Yeah, that we did.
And then,
but that one had a secret passageway.
It did. There was a couple of secret passageways.
Yeah,
all over the place. But yeah, I mean, the map was designed to be explored. So a couple of issues I've run into dungeon crawls before is sometimes you get a room, it's got like a trap or a puzzle, and then once the trap or the puzzle's done, that's it. There's nothing else left to do.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like it's not so much lazy writing, but I feel like it helps for the players to feel like it's more in depth when you've got more things to explore. So I mean, like the button room that I was talking about earlier with the runes where it goes completely bright towards the end.
That
I put a skeleton.
3D.
Yeah, we put a skeleton in there of a I believe it's described as an elf-like creature. No one knows entirely what it was. That's clawed its own eyes out, and it adds nothing else to the room. But obviously, it kind of adds a bit of I don't know, just a bit more depth to it. And I believe didn't Tim Sell, didn't he try and use the skull to keep a door open?
Yes, the secret passageway that they found. So so from room 2C, where we had the first ever gift present that they thought was a mimic, it was just blocking a secret passageway, and so it opened up around here on the screen. I'm wiggling my mouse. So when they'd done the button and opened up the other doorway, he moved the remains to try and prop the door open, which, if I remember correctly, it didn't work.
No, it did not at all. We ended up with half a skeleton. We had legs, and the top half was somewhere else. It was glorious.
I mean, me and Em made sure as well that with the entire dungeon, there were ways to complete the dungeon that weren't. You have to do every single puzzle. You have to do every single riddle. You have to fight every single monster. There were ways,
but they did.
Well, thanks very much. But
they did.
You could go any way. I mean, I think there was 2 or 3 hidden passages in the end. There's different things you could have done. There's ways to escape it. I mean, the door into 2A from the starting area, it is you are able to lockpick it, but it was just a very high DC. Like,
Yeah.
if you guys have got through the lockpick, that's fine. That's up to Em to figure something else out.
Well, I purposely kind of like, well, first off, because Gilly had like an item that could magically open locks. So I just did it that if you were doing it manually, I would have said fair game. But I just made that lock basically anti-magic.
Crafty.
I needed them to sweat a little bit. Could you imagine if they just went straight into 2-way and then pissed off to the left? They would have been done. Game over in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Just go look at this hall of trophies and they'll be like, oh, that's quite nice. I wonder where that happened.
This one.
Seems a bit sadistic, but we'll go with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Some of the trophies being the reindeer.
Yeah, I think I put loads of different schools in. There's like a bull.
Yes.
I think one of them is meant to be an elithid skull. But I just how that works. Look at this. Yeah. So the top one there, top left, I think is meant to be a mind flayer skull. But
you got your bull
creatures.
Got your dragonborn, or just a dragon. Got a spider.
I'm not sure what that middle one is there. It looks like a tortoise. Just a tortoise.
It's a turtle.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Poor turtle.
Yeah. It truly was magnificent to roam around and play, and thank you so much for doing that. You also created specific race for us to play alongside this one-shot story. Sorry, words just completely left me. Can you talk us through how that came about and what were they, and did they work for you?
Yeah, it was actually quite easy. Because obviously I said you were all going to be like elves, and naturally we all know D&D and quite a lot of other tabletop games have an elvish race, but that doesn't quite fit the mechanics or the styles of what a Christmas elf is, especially being like little in most depictions of, like, I'm going to say history, even though we know it's not real. Sorry for any kids out there. Don't watch this. But you know what I mean? Like, all the depictions are like the nickname, Santa's Little Helpers, all that sort of thing. So all I did was combine the elvish race and the halfling race, and basically write a little backstory that they got very drunk at some sort of festival and basically, you know, decided to start getting it on with each other, and the Christmas elves were born. And in that, because you were all playing different classes, I wanted it to make sure that it could work for each class but not be broken at the same time, because I didn't want anyone to feel like, oh, well, this limits what my class can actually do. So I made it sort of like almost blood ancestry with elvish and halfling, that you could pick a little bit of what your features were. So like elves get things like dark vision, whereas halflings get things like, is it nimbleness? So like you could just be so it was basically going, you can pick one or the other. So you can slightly build your race to be how you want it to work, especially for your class, which makes everyone then a little bit different. So some of you did have different skills within you all being Christmas elves, and I just put it down to well, it depends on if the elvish roots of your heritage are stronger or the halfling roots are stronger, and I just did it that way. I just thought it makes it fun, it makes it flexible, and no one is being limited in any way, and that was basically it. Yeah, and it really did work for because we were all different classes. It really did work to be able to pull from those different races to aid the character without it being something that we had to be constantly aware of when creating the character. It's like just something simple as Gilly as a rogue had Firebolt as a cantrip. Obviously, if you take the high elf, which is the main race I based it off, it allowed you to have a free cantrip. But I looked at all of the elvish races and all the halfling like sub races, and looked at how it could match with your stats.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have a plus in dexterity, and
Yeah.
then depending on what sub-race of elf or halfling you are, you get it in different places. So that's when I said to you guys, you've got the freedom to actually pick where your stats go, but it's a score here and a score there. It can't be. We're not doing a human one in every stat. It's you've got two choices, but you have the freedom to pick.
Yeah. And it worked. It worked really well. It really did. And helped us get in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, it's a one shot at the end of the day. So if some people don't agree with it, and I'm sure there are people out there going, well, that's it doesn't make total sense, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I just thought it allows all my players at the table to have some fun and still enjoy different dynamics, which you would typically get. I wouldn't tell people they all had to be the same race for a campaign. So I get the theme of the one shot was Christmas and elves escaping. So that was my easiest way to do it. That you are all still the same race, but you all have uniquenesses about you because of the heritage that has come into play.
Yeah. Did that come as part of the prep work for DMing this one shot, where you looked at the story and went, we'll homebrew we'll homebrew a race for this? Or was it pre-decided and then the prep work began?
Oh, I'm going to say a little bit of both. I had a little bit of a thought about it to be like, would this work? And I think once we started to have the layout of what the story was and what the rooms and situations and the challenges were going to be, and also discussing with you guys the classes, because we had the conversation of let's make it a balanced party as much as possible. So especially for anyone who is new watching for the first time, they get to see 4 very different roles within the party. And it's not all, they're all magic users or they're all fighters, that sort of thing. We had a really good dynamic. You were a sorcerer. Kelly was a druid, Gilly was a rogue, and Will was a barbarian. So we kind of hit the main 4 cornerstones, and each allowed you to do very different things. Like most people think, oh, well, you don't have a wizard, so you don't really have someone who can do all the investigating stuff. But actually, rogues are really good at that, so it fills that slot as well. And just do it in a different way. Like when she crawled across the room to see if she could find something without laying off any traps. A wizard would not be able to do that without magical assistance.
Yeah.
So, I think once we started to discuss and settle who was picking what as their class, and all the boundaries I gave was, let's just try and make it balanced. Then I started to go, okay, we need something that allows everyone to have an impact and not limit. So,
yeah.
The roundabout answer,
yeah. What other like prep work did you do as a DM, and did you ask Tyler for help, or did you just go it alone and see what happened?
No, do you know what? There was a fair amount of collaboration with the prep, in all fairness. Tyler had pretty much organised all the enemies and creatures that you were going to be facing. Obviously, we knew what the main BBEG was going to be, and Tyler had some stat blocks that he had sent me in his little pack of everything that I received, along with some going, I've based this, like you guys went against Frosty the Snowman, and I've based it on, what was it, like an ice golem sort of?
Ice golem,
yeah, that sort of thing. So all I had to do was then just open my book of monsters and just find the ice golem stat block. And if there was any tweaks, Tyler had let me know to be like, I thought about this. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't. So yeah, in that sense, for monsters and that, I think the only thing else that I added was we discussed the candy panes and the whip of like fairy lights.
Yes, yeah.
But I wanted to make sure there was something for everyone, so I added the toy hammer for Will as the barbarian,
Yes.
and the reindeer cloak that are basically allowed to polymorph into a reindeer. I just thought, well, yeah. I thought it could be useful for the sorcerer if they wanted. I was trying to sneak in the fly ability because you guys were only level 5. And or as Kelly was like, I really want to be a reindeer, and obviously she was a druid, and she took it, and I was like, at level 5, you're not technically allowed to fly, but it's a one shot, so why limit fun? And I mean, she never even flew. She didn't even fly in the end.
No, she couldn't get off the ground.
No,
but she tried. She gave it a good go.
Well, she attempted for Will's character to joust on her back.
Yeah.
And that failed. But yeah, like they're the only main things I added. Prep work was just basically reading everything Tyler had given me and making sure I understood it. I still mess things up in the moment. I think you can probably see my face a few times go, when I've realised, no, that's not quite how he wrote it, or like I've twisted it ever so slightly. But that's the nature of the game as well. Nothing ever goes according to plan from a character's players' perspectives of you throw things at us that we have to go with in the moment, but also just from like, I had all my notes in front of me. I'm trying my best to take you through everything and make sure everyone is heard, everyone's having a good time. And you just get things wrong every so often. And there's nothing wrong with that. It didn't affect the storyline when I'd gone, oh, I messed that little bit up.
Yeah, I mean,
after you, Tyler.
Every room had like a narrative description, but it wasn't like I supplied every room with a narrative description. But it wasn't like that was hard coded into the one shot. It was just like because quite a lot of adventure source books that Wizards publish do sometimes have like little bits of flavor text that kind of introduce you to a character or a room, and it was just I was just kind of going off that. But yeah, like there were a few that were like, you just did your own version of it and it still worked. So it wasn't like, I mean, in that sense, that I'd set it up as easy as it was for you to either pick it up on the day and literally read it verbatim from the page, or to do as much or a little's work as you needed to do. So yeah, that's kind of how it was done from my end, really.
It gave me all the notes that I needed. Like, I can't fault them for that.
Yeah. Have you ever DM'd one of Tyler's creations before?
No. This is the first time I ever took something Tyler has taken. And honestly, it filled me with so much terror.
Oh, just because why?
No, because, right, you hear me constantly of how I beat myself with my DMing skills. That's fine.
Yes.
And I am getting a lot more confident, and that's fine. And cool. I'm still not the greatest DM. You can see that in the one shot. I don't care. I had a great time with some great people at a table. I hold Tyler in really high regard as a DM, and everything he writes is just like God tier. There's no other way to describe it. So I'm sorry, but you have DM'd technically 3. I had to duck out of the current one because of Tor. Like 3 incredible campaigns from the get-go. And the first one you ever did with Guidrus and all that just blew my mind. And like knowing what he can do, it's more like, I need to make sure I convey all this. I know it's just a one shot and it's just stupid fun, but reading it, I was like, oh, he's really gone and outdone himself just for me, which means a lot. And I was like, I need to make sure that this is done well and not just like, oh, well, I'm not writing for him again.
No, I mean, to be fair, most of the things that I write, like a lot of my homebrew stuff, you would struggle to read anyway, because it is just a collection of random notes. It's a little bit like Memento in my office sometimes.
Yeah.
There's usually, this wall is usually filled with different notes and things for me to call. I've removed them to make it look more visually appealing. But it's like, I mean, this is the first thing I've ever written that someone else has done. Obviously I've done like homebrewed. I mean, we did like a homebrewed character on the I forget the name of the campaign, Xeraxis. It was like a homebrewed school of magic. It was yeah, we kind of worked on that together, but we've never done like as a DM and a player should do. We collaborated on anything that we need to do, but you've never had anything of mine that's like a playable bit of material.
No.
I mean,
it
I'm
was so
more than
much fun
happy
to
do it again. More than happy to do it again.
Well, Hattie is taking the reins on the next one, so there we go.
No. No. I'm really sorry to disappoint everyone. But no, it's not.
I mean, we definitely have to get you to London sometime, Tyler, so you can DM a one shot for us, because that would be
or
epic.
play.
I also miss playing.
Just come and join us in a
play
game
as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Only if I'm allowed to be some character that sounds like Matt Berry, then yeah, we're fine.
Just bring
absolutely,
back
yeah.
Oh,
don't. He made a poisonous grung barbarian.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
grung is like a small frog.
Yeah. And his main attempt to attack people was just to try and touch them. Because grungs have different reactions to the poison in their skin.
Yeah.
And because of the colour he was, people were frightened of him. So whenever he touched them, they just run away. But because they ran away, he enjoyed that, so he used to chase them. Yeah, I miss Sark. He was a fun character.
It was a villain's one shot, so it works so
fair.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That so in terms of, just to round it off, these are two of your firsts. It's your first time DMing a creation of Tyler's, and your first time giving a creation away to be DM'd.
Mm.
How do you feel now that it has been done? Is there any like notes or thoughts or things that you're like, oh, looking back, maybe I should have written that better, or maybe I should have written that in a different way, or played that in a different way, or constructed it differently for the group? Is there any of that, or did it all go smoothly?
I mean, as a creative, as a writer, you always reflect back on anything you've made with criticisms for yourself. Like I could spend the next month writing that Christmas Jamboree, as I titled it, over and over and over again, and I'd probably still have criticisms for myself. But I mean, I was quite happy with the way it was portrayed. I think it was legible, which was the most important part for me.
No, it was.
To make it was legible. I mean,
really broke everything down, so it made it easy to understand and guide people through. So,
yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed seeing it on screen. I mean, it would have been lovely to have the map on screen with you guys playing it. But I appreciate technicalities and stuff like that happen. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm more than happy the way it's worked. And like I say, it's put a level of confidence in me as a creative to maybe do something similar to that again, whether it's just another one shot, or maybe I work on something a little bit more. Like my first campaign, I don't think I've ever told you this, Em. I am rewriting my first ever campaign to make it into more of a short form kind of campaign, so that
Madness of Gydras.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, I'm excited.
But yeah, that from my perspective, no. I mean, what was it like as a player from your point of view? Like, did you enjoy it? Were the things that you wish you could have changed, Hattie?
I thought that it was brilliant. It was easily constructed. There was always things to do. The sense of peril built throughout. It wasn't just we entered a dungeon and instantly knew that we were going to die. Like, you didn't start off too strong, which is always...
Even when the NPC got stabbed in 4 different directions.
Yeah. That's how we knew that we were on the right track, Em. That's how we knew. It was wonderful, and there was so much freedom in there for us that even because Kelly was new, letting her go in and get attacked by a mimic was brilliant. It was a creative stroke of genius, because it meant that then she was engaged and we all had to save her in a new environment, and one that none of us had come across I can't speak for Gilly on this because I'm not part of any of her campaigns, but I know for Will and myself and Kelly, there have been the one-shots that we're part of, or the campaigns that we're part of, where we haven't come across mimics in that form or previously. And so being able to participate with new big bads, Frosty the Snowman, Santa, for instance, was really fun and quite a creative way of doing it, where they may be villains that we have played previously in a campaign, but because they're wearing the skin of Frosty the Snowman or Santa, it just brings a whole new element to it that it was really enjoyable, and we didn't notice time. Now, I'd just come out of like halfway through my night shift, so time, I was feeling it. I was not on this mortal plane.
You did an 8-hour night shift in our flat.
Yeah, just
walked into my
at
room,
a 12-hour,
crashed for like 3 hours whilst we finished setting up, and then did essentially a 6-hour shift, because we did 2 hours of gameplay, an hour break to then 2 hours, just so like people could have chance to toilet, have some food, that sort of thing, and not play 4 hours straight. Because you're recording it as well, so it's not like you're playing at a table with your friends where you can eat snacks and whatnot as you go. So, and then go straight into another night shift.
Yeah, 12-hour shift, nap, one shot followed by break, followed by one shot, followed by like a little cool down where we're saying goodbye to everyone and celebrating the fact that it was a one shot, to then have like 2-hour nap, to then go back into a 12-hour shift. I was not feeling time. It was just happening around me. And so it was very easy, without having any brain cells left, it was very easy to follow and join in. And I didn't feel like I had to lead to get anywhere. So we were all able to, in our own way, go on our own journey, but still be part of it. Whereas I have seen other campaigns where you need someone to lead the charge to propel it forwards. And whether that is the DM steering everyone, or that is a particular character who has played the longest or is the most confident to kind of steer everyone in a particular direction, the way that you had written it and the way that Emma DM'd it made it very casual and very much like, go anywhere you like. Press all the buttons. Go into the room first. Like, there's no peril here. Mimic attacks us instantly. But like...
To be fair, Kelly did what every new player does. It's like, oh, that looks shiny. I want to go and look at that.
First mistake.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was wonderful to play. And even now we're still thinking about like the jokes that have come out of it, and all of our takeaways about Kelly bullying Santa and us bullying Will, and Gilly with the daggers and able to inject sugar into people. Like, wonderful takeaways. So honestly, thank you. It was a dream to play. It really was.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes. And got me to create a lovely character. So thank you for that, because
Was that hard? Because I didn't give you guys like much information apart from it's Christmas themed, your elves escaping Santa's
You gave
workshop.
us no information. So this has been a whole new experience for me, where I get to hear the other side of get to peek through the curtain about the creation of it, because you were like, here's your character, your elves. I think you were like, could you choose?
I didn't say here's your character.
No, sorry, as in please make your character your elves, please select things from these two races. And if you can, maybe aim for, if you're going to do a magic class, could you let me know, so that I can then see the breakdown of who's doing what, basically. And then there was a lot of like, okay, so if I'm going to be magical, because they are the best.
Hattie and me sit with our affinity of our love for magical characters.
Oh no.
They are the best.
I mean, I'm playing a barbarian at the minute in a campaign that Will is currently running while Em's away, and they're a lot of fun. But I'm missing the flourish, you know.
Yeah.
I'm missing the little bit of spice that the magic brings. And unfortunately, I am quite creative, so when making a character, it's not so hard. The only thing I struggle with is a name. So I have all of these characters. Oh, the first name I came up with came about because Kelly and I were decorating the flat for Christmas. So she has all of these, what I can only describe as like pom-poms. And we were throwing them around, and she was like, oh, they're snowballs. And I was like, interesting character name, nailed it. I will be Snowballs. And the more I said it, the more I hated it. Can't lie. And then,
Imagine if Will had maybe given a bit more thought to his name, perhaps. That yeah.
He just went, oh, it's such a clever play on tinsel. Yeah. And we just went, or incel.
Or incel. As this barbarian is surrounded by all women. It just made it quite a fun dynamic that, like, anytime he couldn't open a door or needed to be carried, it was because he doesn't like women, so he's going to protest, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But
what happened? Yeah, he failed a door check, and I went, the three of you just pushed him out of the way. I'm like, we got this.
Yeah. He needs the women to really hold him up, which was just so much fun can come out of such a small bit. But yeah, speaking and throwing the name around, I was just like, I don't like this as much as I first said it. And if it's going to be said and then online, it's going to have to be something that you can at least like in the moment. So I was spitballing with my partner, and he came up with Brandy Butter, and I was like, yeah, that's it. There she is. Thank you very much. Write that one down. And lo and behold, she was born. But it was quite a creative little moment coming up with the spells that I could use because it's in the snowy lands. So do you want spells that are all ice based, or would having fire ones be helpful? So there was quite a lot of conversations I think you and I had about what spells would be useful and how useful they would be in the environment that you're in.
Well, I wasn't given too much away in terms of, I just went, obviously you're stuck in the Arctic, in North Pole sort of thing. I just use that to guide you with magic. I did the same with Kelly, because obviously she's a druid, and druids can only wild shape into animals that they've seen. So we had to have a discussion about what sort of stuff she had seen. And there's not a lot of stats for some of that stuff in the typical druid guide. But I was like, penguin basically just adopted the brown bear that you can at such a low level into a polar bear. Even though there are stat blocks for polar bears, they're just a lot stronger. So well, you can still be a polar bear just on that stat block instead, because it's flair, it's flavor. Reindeer, obviously. I think we just came up with like a giant snow spider, just to like, again, it's just like flavor context. Like it doesn't have to be dramatic.
Yeah.
It just adds to it.
Yeah. Tyler, I've got a sneaky question.
Yeah.
If you were going to play your one shot, what character would you have created?
Ooh. Well, given as little information as you guys were given.
Yeah. Or you could go in with the master guide.
You can do it on what you know.
So,
you can do it on what you know.
I mean, Em will happily attest to the fact that Bard will forever and always be my favourite class.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had no idea, it'd probably either be a Bard or some kind of joke character that I think would work. Okay. But yeah, I mean, for that dungeon, I think a Bard could be fun. You know,
they're very versatile.
Yeah, you get your minor illusions, your thaumaturgies, all those kind of things, distracting people. Yeah, I could see that working. Probably a Bard. I don't have a name. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense for a Christmas elf when they're all like jolly and singing and
Nice. Well, that was all of my questions and curiosities. Thank you again so much for creating the wonderful Christmas Jamboree. It was an awful lot of fun to play. And thank you, Em, for DMing it, because it was wonderful to have you lead us.
Thanks. No, it was a lot of fun to do. So honestly, thanks for helping us out with that.
Happy to. If you ever need another one, let me know.
Oh yeah, we will.
You'll be our first call.
Oh no.
Yeah. To play, write, or DM, whatever you want. Yeah.
But yeah. Thank you so much.
That's it, really, isn't it? We've covered everything. Now, if you do want to see a bit more of Tyler, or should I say hear a bit more of Tyler, both Tyler and myself are joining Roll for Imagination podcast for their mini campaign. So we've not started that yet. Oh, it's first night tomorrow night, isn't it?
It's tomorrow night. I am very excited.
I say this.
Yeah.
I say this first night tomorrow night of when we're recording this, but when we release this,
yeah, probably not.
Yeah. We could be a few into it by then. But yeah, so go check them out as well. And if you enjoyed hearing our discussions on this, obviously check out the BBEG podcast. Hattie, where can you find us?
Oh no, guys, we do this every time, and I never have it written down.
I got it. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. If you want to listen to the podcast or watch it, I've said YouTube already, and we've also on many different podcast platforms. Spotify, that's the only one I know.
Amazon, Google, and Amazon, Google. Oh, there's another one that's going to annoy me. Apple Podcasts. There we go. And if you wish to email in to let us know your thoughts, it is the BBEG Podcast at gmail.com. That's us. So yeah,